AdTech TV, your world TV, your everything.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to our 5th edition of Siasa Cafe, a political program that dissects political events as they happen across the week. And today, our focus will be on the role of opposition in strengthening our democracy. And to take us up to speed to this amazing conversation is none other than Mr. Nelson Mandela, ODM Youth Leader, Dagoretti South. Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back again.
All right.
Yes.
It's been quite a period, eh?
Yeah, since I was here.
Yeah.
It's well to be here.
And I see you're looking smart.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. So we'll be having one of our guests who will be joining us along the conversation. But before then, we'll pick up with our first conversation of the day. And I'll just ask a very simple question. Kenya at 62, where is our democracy and where is our opposition politics?
Kenya at 62 is quite an impressive question. Number one, I remember since 1963 when we achieved our independence.
Okay.
And black man ruling, from the white man. And actually, we've made some inroads when it comes to democracy until Ruto regime came into power. That's where now the rubber meets the road. Actually, human rights violation.
Okay.
But democratically, we've made some strides. We've tried as a nation, because you remember, immediately we achieved and got our independence.
Okay.
We went back to one-party state. Then from there, repealing of Section 2A in 1990s. Then we went back. We are now in multipartyism, where you are allowed. You are allowed even to form a political party as long as it meets the criteria and the laws of the land.
All right.
That's where we are currently. But at the same time, we talk about achievement we've got
Undertaken.
and or we've undertaken, but still much should be done. Because currently we can see violation of human rights and other stuffs happening in the republic.
Okay, you've given us a very good sequence of our democracy, where it started and where we are.
Yes.
But now, can you also clarify to us, where is our position like? Where are we in terms of opposition?
If you go back to 1963, when we started this nation, actually there was no opposition.
Yes, sure.
Everybody was absorbed by the system.
By the government.
We had KANU and KADU. KANU was led by Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, while KADU was led by the late president, Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. But later they merged to form KANU. And in that sequence and in that tentative activities, Jaramogi found himself again as the vice president of the republic. Then later he was ousted, and Moi took over from there. And at that time is where Kenya veered off the road. Actually, divisions started from that point, where the people violation of human rights, what I'm talking about, opposition creating division and the government creating, saying watuwale, those people, these people. Then we came to up to date now, whereby after that, after repealing Section 2A, and we achieved multipartyism, everybody formed a political party. We went into election in 1997, whereby it was done by joint parliamentary. Both opposition and government agreed to form one commission of the then Electoral Commission. Then we came into 2002 when we thought that we've now broken the yoke of tribalism. And we voted against the tyrant leadership, against the dictatorial kind of leadership.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, before you get there, we've seen a metamorphosis of from KADU to KANU. What can you say has been the achievement of KADU and KANU?
Achievements of KANU actually prevailed and propelled Kenya into a new dispensation of leadership, whereby after achieving the independence, we got first president, from there vice president, and I think merging KANU and KADU, to me, I think that's where the problem of this country started, because they wanted to form one big coalition like Tanganyika or Tanzania, whereby we have that CCM Chama cha Mapinduzi. That party was formed by both Nyerere and the former president of the Zanzibar.
Okay.
They came up with that idea of having one political party to produce and give the leader the country's direction. But Kenya as a nation failed. If you go to South Africa, whereby we are saying, me, I'm in ODM, and we normally compare our notes with big parties like ANC of South Africa. But there is one thing that you have to note, that in South Africa, the ANC as a political party, if the party president fails to deliver on the promises he made when he was campaigning, or even engages in a corrupt deals, that's the end. That's the beginning and the end of that regime. Actually, they will oust the president and replace him as a party. But in Kenya, a political party is formed to win a political seat. But after that, a president becomes a superior leader. Nobody questions, even the legislators. They cannot question the president. He's above the law.
Now looking at Kenyan political parties,
yes,
since independence and up to where we are today, we've had several political parties. Others have been in power, others have been in opposition for quite some time. But now looking at comparing it with other nations, like for instance Uganda and Tanzania, that have got political parties that have been in power for quite too long. Where are we missing it? Why? What is working in Uganda and Tanzania that is making those parties stay in power for long, as opposed to Kenya, where we keep on, changing parties?
If you look into the political landscape or geopolitics of East Africa, Kenya is much away, is far better than other countries like Tanzania and UK, and not UK, Uganda. One thing about Uganda, is a one-party rule. And not even one party rule. They have a multi-party, which is dysfunctional. Actually, they are even violating the rights of the opposition. Opposition, they are not even allowed to gather. Yeah. You see, it seems for you to be at peace or in peace in Uganda, you must subscribe to the ideology of UPF. Is it UPF? No, NRM.
Sorry, NRM.
UPF is a
opposition
army.
Okay.
The army, the Ugandan army, while NRM is the party in the leadership. So if you go to Uganda right now, I think nothing is working for Uganda. Recently, I saw UDA went to benchmark on how NRM has overstayed in power. But we just know when elections comes in Uganda, it is marred by violence, riggings, abductions, killings.
But remember, I asked a very simple question. What is it that is working out for them that is not working for us? Because we keep changing parties.
With us, we are matured. That's the reason why one party cannot overstay in leadership. Because you remember, in Kenya, we talk about manifesto. When TNA and URP merged in 2013 and formed Jubilee Coalition, actually, they promised laptops. They promised laptops. You remember?
Let's not get to the promises. Let's just handle
that's
the facts
what I'm
on the
telling you.
ground.
The reason why this party fails. They are promises that they fail. They fail to deliver. The moment you fail to deliver, be rest assured. That's the reason why William Ruto ran away from Jubilee Party and formed his own political party, which actually, I think even 2027, William Ruto will run from UDA and go join another political party to win power.
But Sir Nelson, don't you think maybe what is working out for them is maybe the policies that are there, the policies that are in, CCM and, the other party in Uganda, as opposed to some of the policies and ideologies that are in these current parties that we have?
That's why I said in Kenya, ideology, we talk about parties are being formed to win power. Nothing else in Kenya. But in Uganda, like CCM, it was formed to unite, not Uganda, as Tanzania. The CCM was formed to unite the entire Tanzania. Uganda, NRM was formed to unite entire Uganda, which is it has failed to do so or to perform on that. But in Kenya, the problem is we are forming political parties based on tribal angles, whereby tribe A is forming a political party with tribe B. to make sure that tribe C is locked out of power.
Then again, why do we say that Kenya has matured politically and in terms of
we've
democracy?
matured in terms of democracy. We've matured. If you look at how even opposition can rally and talk, if you compare to other nations and more so Tanzania and Uganda, we are far much better than them. But currently, we are sinking back to that human rights standard of violation.
Okay.
Actually, we are being ranked among failed states like the countries like violating human rights like Tanzania and Uganda, which is quite unfortunate that we are falling back where we've come from. It's a long history that we are here today as a nation.
All right.
Yes.
Now, what is the legislative agenda of our opposition party, and where are we getting it right and where are we missing it?
Opposition party, the problem with the current opposition parties is that one thing that I've come to realize that opposition people might oppose things because they are outside the government. The moment they get into government or they get power, they forget very fast and they go back to their old way of thinking.
Doing things.
Yeah, of doing things. Actually, if you look at Kenya currently, opposition has failed. Now we are talking about there is a certain bill which has been brought, anti-demos bill, the one which is being propelled by Esther Passaris, Nairobi women rep. It's quite unfortunate that a woman rep from a political party which is ODM, and ODM stands for social democracy. That's the meaning of ODM. Is coming with a draconian bill just to subdue and make sure that others are feeling the pinch. If you are in government today, there is one thing that I want people in government to remember. Even the opposition, that the people in opposition who are currently in the government and dancing the tune of the executive and the government, that remember, just bring those bills. But remember, bring a bill that even if you're out of power tomorrow, the same bill will protect your right as well. But don't do it because you feel so and so is powerful.
Let's give Mheshimiwa Esther Passaris a benefit of that by saying, okay, fine, maybe it is a bill that is produced out of good faith so that at least we're able to regulate some of these demonstrations that we do.
Let me ask you a question on that. Not even a question. Let me give my view on that. You remember that bill is talking about 100 meters. The government institutions like parliament, state house, and judiciary. Today, if there is a mandamano or a demo in town, you are being encouraged. If that bill sails through, remember, you will not be allowed to step into CBD because 100 meters will get you around Milimani. And Milimani the same, you are not needed there. You have to push to 100 meters. You will be around past KNH.
But in what will you do in demonstration? Why will you go to town when you know there are demonstrations?
Not everybody. Let me tell you one thing. Demonstrations this bill is talking about demonstrators. People, people participating in demonstrations. So the moment you're coming a bill, this bill is to regulate those demos. And as I'm asking myself, a police station, which Passaris has drafted very well in that bill, is Central Police Station. You are needed far much better than almost to Riverside. You know, that junction to Chiromo. That's where you are allowed to conduct demos. And you ask yourself...
But can I defend a bit by stating this way? You know, some of these demos, sometimes they are very unnecessary. And it brings about a much destruction. And also, it also put the lives of citizens in a lot of risk. So sometimes, you know, if you look at the two sides of the coin, you realize that, you know...
Do you know the government should always answer the question, why do Kenyans find themselves into conducting demonstrations? Actually, you should not say that demos are unnecessary. Demonstrations, picketing is allowed in the Constitution. Article 37 talks about the right to demonstrate and petition. So it is a right which is covered in the Constitution and as a nation. You know, we just got the Constitution the other day, 2010. And this Constitution, we must preserve it. We must protect it by all means. A right to demonstrate. A Kenyan is allowed. If you feel your right has been infringed, if you feel unhappy and you want the government to be accountable, you are allowed to conduct a demonstration. Yes.
So in short, what you're
as
trying
long
to
as it is
say,
peaceful.
so in short, what you're trying to say is that the current opposition leaders are not really doing their mandate. They're not really carrying out their legislative mandate.
The reason why I've said so, because we know very well Kenyan opposition, people are thinking of the way we, before getting our COC 2010,
exactly.
Constitution of Kenya 2010. In the past, we used to have opposition leader being maybe a member of parliament, you see, and sitting on the opposing side. But currently the constitution says that a parliament as a house should be oversighting the executive. That's their major role.
Exactly.
And passing laws and also representation. But if you look at the parliament currently, we have minority and majority. But in the parliament currently, it's a mix-up. It is quite unfortunate that minority leader from my party, by the name on Junet Mohammed, is dancing the tune of the regime. Actually, he's happy that he's serving the regime. And they are saying people who should be arrested for causing demonstrations and destruction of properties. Yet we know very well that
Mheshimiwa, why do you mirage so much on Junet, for instance, who is a minority whip, who could be dancing to the tune of the government? Yet we have other self-proclaimed opposition leaders who seem not to be doing them, carrying out the opposition legislative mandates.
Being opposition, you cannot pass laws in the streets. Laws are passed in the National Assembly.
With numbers.
And with the National Assembly, the Parliament, the Senate, and National Assembly. So the moment you see the likes of Kalonzo, what they can do and what they are doing is just a civic education. They're telling people this and that. And they just can they can only petition the Parliament or government institutions like us, like you and I.
Okay.
But strategically, and what we know, powers lie with the people in the National Assembly and the Senate, the Parliament itself.
On the same breath, do you think it's high time we should amend the Constitution to reintroduce the official position of the leader of opposition?
To me, I think we should go a parliamentary way, because currently we have that presidential system, but I feel to some extent, is not working for us. That parliamentary system will actually introduce the prime minister and somebody from the opposition to sit in the parliament. Because the current dispensation and the current leadership we see around is a mix-up. You cannot tell. Even the current president said one day in USA, that UK, that there is a kind of a mongrel governance system that you cannot tell the head or neither the tail. So that's, we found ourselves. Actually, it was against the handshake, and he has made sure that he introduced another handshake through the system he was castigating before. So Kenya, we keep on recycling things. We keep on going back to whatever we are castigating. You castigate things today, tomorrow you support those things. So we lack moral principles to stand on our feet.
But looking, retracing back before the new constitution, where there was a position of official leader of opposition. Opposition was really doing so much well by then, as opposed to now that you have minority and majority whip, which minority obviously represents the leader of opposition in parliament. That's what I'm trying to say. Do you think if we re-amend the constitution and reintroduce the office of the opposition leader, do you think we can be able to, at least that office will be accountable?
To me, I support your sentiment by saying, actually, the problem we are facing currently, that you give somebody a seat like minority seat, and that person is hungrier than even the people who are not in power. He wants to use that position to accumulate, to acquire wealth through that position. You want to get money through that position. Actually, those positions are being dished, and they want to use those positions to get money, to enrich themselves. So that's where the problem is currently. That's what we are facing as a nation. So to me, I would say that introducing opposition leader in the parliament, yes, I do support. And I feel like it should be introduced so that we can have somebody representing the opposition. But the problem is, are we ready to change our moral characters? Are we ready to change? Because our behavior is wanting. Our behavior is wanting.
So that is what sometimes brings that kind of a problem.
Yes,
All
our
right.
behavior. Because if you don't have principles, even if we change the name of an institution, you will still go with your stomach ready to eat,
All
ready to
right.
steal from the public coffers.
Okay. Looking at how things look like, I think you've answered it in an earlier conversation, but just as a way of a clarity, do you really have an opposition?
Yes, we have an opposition.
Why do you think so?
I think we have an opposition. Even my party is in opposition. Yet some people, experts, found themselves in.
Now, what is your definition of an opposition?
Opposition to me is the minority side of the parliament. Yeah, that's the definition of opposition. But I just want to remind you about the role of the legislators or the legislation part of it. The role of the parliament. The role of the parliament is to oversight the executive. But the problem we are facing as a nation, that the parliament is in bed with the government. So who is going to oversight the other?
That's what I'm asking.
Who is going to bring,
that's what I'm
make
asking.
the public know what's happening?
That's why I'm asking a very simple question. Do we really have an opposition?
Currently we have a mix-up of what I want to use the William Ruto's word. You cannot understand what's really happening. But we still have those parties which are parties, even my party, ODM. Not every member, ODM member, is in this government. No, some of us, we've remained to be voices of reason. We've decided actually to champion for what we stand for and to support whatever we've been saying. That we stand for social democracy, good governance, accountability, and transparency.
So if we still have issues with opposition, then where do we place the the Wamunyoro camp, and where do we really place them?
Wamunyoro camp, the other day, former deputy president was in government, and actually he was supporting most of the bills, most of the things happening, until that, his Paul, he found himself the way to Damascus, and that was
quite
changed actually. When approaching Damascus after persecuting the Christians, Jesus saved him along the way. And he's now a changed man. You can see from the, maybe people can see, but Kenyan politics is very funny. Very funny. Yes, today you are in government, tomorrow you are out. You speak the language of opposition today, and you get into government, you speak the language of government.
But what if we say that the current opposition is just a team of hypocrites who are out for their own political selfish ambitions?
You have to elaborate. Which opposition are you talking about? The ODM or the brigades of the likes of the Wamunyoro camp?
Of course, it's in the public domain who are in opposition currently. We have the Wamunyoro camp. We also have the Wamalwa camp.
To me, I don't want to say they are hypocrites, because the term hypocrisy, that one, even if you start saying they are hypocrites, I will even put it to us, the ODM members, because some of us are claiming that we were fighting for human rights, but currently some of us are supporting police brutality. Some of our members
have you had ODM make a statement and say, okay, fine, you're supporting?
I'm talking about the members. Some of us, party position. If you are elected on a political party, you subscribe fully to the ideology of that political party or outfit. So currently, there are people subscribing to the ideology of ODM party. They were elected on ODM ticket, but they have found themselves supporting things that were not even formulated in the ODM. Things that even the party itself is not supporting. But I know it is their own opinion. But remember, when we used to be in opposition fully, whereby we didn't even donate even a single person to be an expert in the said regime, we used to speak with one voice. But currently, so many voices in the wilderness.
But could this divergence of voices within the ODM party could be another tactical way of handling the current political situation, whereby the SG speaks a different language, the party leader speaks a different language?
Actually, you remember, SG doesn't even speak. He speaks the language of the people. you know, there was a day when Were, unfortunately, may his soul rest in peace. By the time he was assassinated, and during his burial, SG was told to tone down by the party leader. And the party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, said categorically that the spokesperson of ODM party is none other than Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, who is also the SG, Secretary General. So that ground or that stand still stands. That's our stand up to date. Sifuna is the one in charge of speaking for the party. But currently, actually, if you see how things are unfolding, it's quite unfortunate that you cannot tell members. Some are now acting weirdly. Some are now like they want to kiss. They want to do things. They want to be seen close to the power. They want to kiss power every time they want to speak. They want to be seen like supporting the regime, and they are saying they are doing so for the sake of development. Who told you that for you to get development, you must dance the tune of executive?
But I think this is just a mentality that has grown over the years. So people
That's what I'm saying.
it. Yeah.
It is not. It's neither here nor there. You cannot say that for you to be in government, you must support. You must support the regime in power. That's where we get it wrong as a nation. That you must support the regime in power to get. You know, remember, you are a taxpayers like me. We pay taxes, and the constitution, this constitution we have, states categorically that the national cake, which is the share of our taxes, should be shared equitably. Yes. There's nowhere in the constitution that if you are supporting the government, you should get a huge, a chunk of the lion's share of the national budget.
But can you also say it is the same politicians that are driving that same narrative to make us believe that if you're not in government, most likely you're not likely to get the development as opposed to those who are in government? People
who think that politics still revolves around 1963 to 2007 or 2002, they still have that mentality that for you to get development, you must dance the song of the president, which is not right. It is not right. It is not in the constitution in the first place. Yes.
Okay, we'll stop at that point and take a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll continue with Siasa Cafe, and we'll introduce one of our guests who's already in the house, who will join us immediately after the break. This was Siasa Cafe, brought to you by Gordon Oduor at Aditech TV and Nafsi Africa. Yeah.
Basi ni lini utanipenda mie kama nilivyokupenda wewe? Basi ni lini utanipenda mie kama nilivyokupenda? Hello everyone, this is Rich Nemi, #richboy. Nikiwa ndani kwa Adtech TV.
Oh Kenya, this is Adtech TV Kenya and I'm your presenter Joyce Abuya. Now catch us every Monday to Friday as we bring for you a blend of politics, fresh news and entertainment like music and movies. And don't forget to tune in every Tuesday for Dunda La Wasanii Show, where we have our artists, listen to them and have their behind the scene pics and see on how to promote them. Whether you're at home, in the office or in the go, we got you informed, entertained and connected. Now catch us every day from Monday to Friday.
Back to Siasa Cafe after such a commercial break. And on this segment, we're going to focus on Dagoretti South politics, and we're going to look into some of the nitty-gritty issues about the Dagoretti South politics. And as we were continuing with our conversation along the way, one of the guests just joined us, who I'm going to introduce shortly before our initial guest introduced himself. And that is Bishop Dr. Habakkuk Nyongesa, Bishop Transformational Ministries, and also a Dagoretti South community leader. Karibu sana, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Gordon, for this chance. I've come in a bit late, but I'm happy to be here this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. And of course, our guest was there initially and is still with us, Honorable Nelson Mandela, ODM Dagoretti South Youth Leader. Karibu sana, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yours truly is still around.
Exactly. And gentlemen, you're looking great this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Asanteni sana. So, Bishop, since you are not there in the earlier segment, I just want to take you back to the initial conversation we had before you stepped in. And we are looking at the state of our democracy and opposition, Kenya at 62. What can you say?
Okay, thank you so much, Gordon. I am not a politician per se like Nelson Mandela. And sometimes, you know, I may quote the scriptures, as you know. But what is happening in our nation is an eye-opener, especially in terms of politics, because politics has been a continuous thing. It's like daily food since we did election last time. And I can say that on the national level, as much as politics is as hot as it is,
Yes, sure.
something that we can thank God about is about the peace that is prevailing in the nation. So politicians will play politics. Of course, that is their daily bread. And there is nothing much we can do but just to make sure that it does not slide into anarchy for our nation.
Okay.
So on national level, we, particularly the church where we are now, is that we are praying for peace, and we are also saying that let the work continue, as those who are opposed to what is happening also keep up the challenge, so that those in power can be kept on toes.
All right.
Yeah, so that is my take as for now.
Okay. And we appreciate your take.
Thank you.
Now, we'll look into Dagoretti South leadership in general. And I'll start with you, Honorable Nelson Mandela. What can you say of the leadership from the ward level to the national level?
You know, Dagoretti South is quite a funny constituency when it comes to national politics. Actually, they play a critical role. And more so, Dagoretti South, you know, we've always found ourselves as a Dagoretti South constituency in government. When Dennis Waweru was the MP, he was serving in a ruling regime. When KJ is an MP, he has served in both Jubilee and now Kenya Kwanza regime. So definitely I see the trend. Maybe even the next MP will be serving will be serving in the next regime, the national government.
But generally, what can you tell about their leadership? Is there something to take home?
There is one thing I want to say about leadership. I'm coming to that point. About leadership in Dagoretti South, actually, we've come a long way. And to me, I just want to say we are trying in terms of leadership.
Okay.
Only that we fail as Dagoretti South, as the leaders, and most of the elected leaders, to capture the part of how to balance national politics, ground politics, and how to coexist peacefully, you know?
Okay.
We always preach peace in Dagoretti South. And these are failures that I will not fail to highlight. Yeah, in some instances and some cases we talk about roads. We still have experienced bad roads. We still experience poor education system. If you come to Ngando, there is only achievement in terms of education, whereby we got our first public primary school. Recently. But all said, we know very well that as Dagoretti, we are progressing well. I suspect and expect that the next MP will be a better guy to move Dagoretti forward.
Why talk about the next MP when the current one is seemingly is doing a good job?
What I'm saying, you know, you cannot, that seat wasn't glued to be there. That's number one. We have to appreciate that we serve for a season and a reason. And if people, currently the mood is like, you know, People are saying that we have to get a new MP. He has served for 2 terms. I don't want to say he must go. No, I'm saying maybe.
But you feel.
I feel like people are saying they are going to get a new MP. But to me, the current trend in Dagoretti South, let me tell you one thing. Dagoretti South, the moment you start working with the regime which is unpopular to them, definitely you are going home.
Okay.
The moment you start working with the opposition, actually, Dagoretti South is now, currently I can say, majority of the Dagoretti South residents are in opposition.
All right.
Confirm it.
All right. Let me, that's just personal statement. But let me get back to Bishop. Bishop, what can you tell of Dagoretti South leadership, both at the constituency and at the ward level?
Okay, Dagoretti South constituency. I have been around for some time. Came in this constituency around 1989. So I have been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you know, Dagoretti, Dagoretti constituency, Dagoretti South, it has 5, you know, wards.
Okay.
And you see 3 wards are UDA. And 2 wards, one ours in Ngando is Jubilee. And then we have Martin Bogwa in Mtuini, who is independent. Not independent, chama cha
Kazi.
Kimani Kuria, this Kuria man.
Moses Kuria.
Moses Kuria.
Yes.
And one thing with that I have seen even in interaction is that these MCAs have decided to work together and also to work together. And we have, of course, one MP who is KJ. And as he says, KJ might get a lot of opposition if at all those who are opposing him can become serious and also be serious contenders. Because when you look at the patterns in the last elections, the person who, you know, brought in this matrix was Mushene, this Brian. But when you looked at the campaigns of Brian, Brian was not serious. In fact, he is the one who imbalanced the outcome with Dennis Waweru. Because if Brian was not in the mix, Dennis Waweru would have taken.
Bishop, let me ask you, what do you mean by he was not serious?
No, the campaign was not, you measure campaign by the bravado and the seriousness.
But he used a lot of resources.
No, the resources were being used, but it was the father. He was, you know, it was a proxy. It was like the father was holding everything for him. Because every meeting that probably you could see him attending, a few minutes later, the father appears. But it was just like a process for him to grow. But you see now, even in the middle of the years we have gone, we have personally, I have not seen him come forcefully and, you know, interact with the community. Because
but what if we say it's still too early to predict this? You know, it's still
you know, in politics there is nothing like too early or too late. It's a strategy. And I'm not a political, I'm a philosopher. You know, a PhD holder in philosophy, philosophy of mind, to be precise. But everything you know, begins with the mind of the people. Yeah, the people can be changed by their mind when somebody is really in the community and with the people. But of now, as we are continuing, I believe that KJ is banking on his development, you know, success. To divert or to make people, you know, and you see, as politics continues, because we have been around for some time, we know how politicians behave. When things are moving and when we are moving closer, even those who seem to be, you know, hooked to the unpopular regime, they jump ship. They jump ship. And when everything has jumped the ship, then it brings a commotion. Because there are people who have already made up a mind that we are in this government. And
so Bishop, for someone to get a second term, because there seem to be a contradicting, you know, way of looking at things between you and Honorable Mandela. Because according to Mandela, he feels KJ has overstayed in that seat, and so there has to be somebody to inject maybe a new ideas and everything. But for you, you seem to be banking on the fact that he has a development record, and there seem to be no one else to be able to who can be able to take up that seat in terms of seriousness and everything. Now, does it mean that our politics is based on just the politician or based on development?
Can I
Nelson
answer you?
Mandela, yes.
You know, you've said something that I haven't said, that he has overstayed. No, I'm saying, if you look at the current trend in Dagoretti South, Dagoretti South is synonymous with the national politics. And if you look at Dagoretti South currently, KJ might find himself out of the next regime, not the next regime, in the next assembly. Reason being, you know, for sure, Dagoretti South, as a constituency, if elections, even if you go to the ground, just do your opinion poll, put a DCP member and a UDA versus a UDA candidate. I can tell you for sure, DCP candidate will carry the day. I don't want to lie. I don't want to mince my words. Yeah, that's the kind of politics we are in Dagoretti. KJ might bank on his development track record. And when the right time comes for the opposition, there is a lot of hatred for this regime. There's a lot of anger for this regime. So he might find himself not being re-elected.
But Mheshimiwa, Dagoretti South is a cosmopolitan area where we have several communities apart from the dominant Kikuyu. And it seemed to be, from the look of things, it's only Kikuyu that have got issues with, with UDA candidate.
No.
Then
that one is a wrong analogy. Number one, Dagoretti South is comprised of Kikuyus, Luos, lawyers, and Kisis. I just want to dissect a bit. If you look at the trend right now, even if we say the majority, the ODM, majorly we bank on Luo vote, Luya vote, and Kisi vote, and being supported by our partner, the Kamba Nation. And today, as we look at the things, Kamba Nation is behind Kalonzo Musyoka. The Gema community, they are behind DCP and Kalonzo. If you go to our brothers from Island, Kisi Island, they are behind Matiang'i. Most of them. And they also have another candidate by the name Maraga. And not them, Matiang'i actually. Then if you come to Luya community, there is one factor that you must consider. There is Natembeya factor. Whether we like it or not, it is there, and it's going to play a very significant role in the next dispensation of leadership.
So if you analyze all this, then it might sweep the current.
So it tells you that even if elections are conducted today, the candidate who is going to carry the day will be from the opposition, from the look of things. You cannot bank on UDA. Who is UDA? UDA.
Okay.
They are the stronghold of UDA in Dagoretti South. Which tribe is left there? So you have to know that politics in Kenya is tribal. And if we leave that tribal part of it, let's talk about what Gen Z is talking about.
No.
Gen Z is talking about having a politics whereby there is no tribalism. But I can tell you for sure, they cannot re-elect KJ. Based on what? Whatever KJ said during 2024 finance bill protest. That was that season.
That was a season.
Gen Zs are not forgetful. They are not forgetful.
Okay. That's a conversation for another day. Now, my second question is, why hasn't there been any effective public participation in most of the development projects that we see around? Why hasn't we seen any serious public participation? Bishop, I'll get to you.
Okay. Well, I think if I can remember very well, that when there was a public participation for the community, from every ward to come and speak about what development they would want. I remember that that public participation was at the DCC grounds. I have had a problem also with publicity concerning any public participation on any matter, because we have had so many public participation just within our community. You remember there was a public participation about the NGCDF, and it was not, magnified as it were. And the people who heard about it, they went, did that. But concerning the development that was supposed to have to take place within the constituency, public participation was there. It was done. So probably it may not have reached everybody, but on that level it was done.
But Bishop, it's one thing to do a public participation, and it's one thing to make it effective.
Yes.
You know, in most cases, people just attend it for the sake of, okay, fine.
Yeah, and that is where the problem is. Not even in the constituency. It is even in nationwide. Once you have taken your time to go and, participate, what happens after that is beyond me and you, because most of the things even we have seen in the public arena, the people have rejected completely. But when it is compiled and be taken to the parliament or wherever it is taken, it is like it was agreed.
Now there has been this accusation, maybe
Yes.
getting back to maybe Nelson, there has been this accusation that some of this public participation are just forums to sanitize some of these leaders because they do developments and they are really not accountable to the last coin. So it's just a way of just,
number one, public participation is anchored in the parliament. And not parliament, constitution. And also there is a parliament, there is amendment bill which an act which is supporting the public participation bill. And if you look at the problem is that we want to politicize everything. This country, when it comes to public participation, the person who is in charge, most have attended a public participation organized by the Ministry of Interior. And they come to a public participation, the national government, they start singing how the government is a caring government, the government is doing this and that, this government is a listening government, people might end up opposing, but we have the best regime in power. So they start by praising the government.
Mheshimiwa, we are sticking to Dagoretti South. We are focusing on Dagoretti South.
That's what I'm saying. The people who normally bring it to Dagoretti South is the national. I'm talking about, unless you're talking about the county public participation, the national one. I remember the one I attended. Actually, it started with from that note, whereby they praised the president first. Then ended up praising the president. Then you are given a 10. How do we call it? A book like this, a huge one, a huge paper, so that you go through it and see how it is going to be passed. Can I ask you, can you read 10 papers in a day, 10 leaflets
it's quite
or
impossible.
papers in a day?
It's quite impossible.
And public participation, they call it a short notice. They make sure that whatever they want is hidden. The devil is hidden in the paper.
Okay.
So the problem is the county, the government is not ready to have a public participation sales through. I remember during the impeachment motion of former deputy president, the public participation was brought here in Bomas. Do you know some people were beaten because of divergent views. So we get up getting the wrong decisions. In Dagoretti South, public participation is called, and the MP wants to take credit of it. He wants to sell his agenda in that public participation.
In that forum.
Instead of telling people, letting the other departments and organizations, the people in the civil society space, the religious community, and whatever, to participate and give their views. But instead, what they do is to make sure that they make you subdue their request.
Now, the third question we'll get to Bishop. And it's a question that has gone, it has been asked several times. As a man of God, what is your role in the politics of Dagoretti South? Because you seem to be a bit active in the politics of, Dagoretti South.
Okay, before a man of God, I am also a voter. I hold a voter's card. And my desire has always been to have a transparent way of leading, and so that perception, that what do you hold? It is that even the clergy, we have been in the forefront of ensuring that within the constituency there is amenities and infrastructure that can also help us, so that when Gordon is coming to church, he's not driving on a pothole, or maybe you are not able to leave your house just because it has been marooned with the water. So as an individual, I have been so much aggressive on the same, so that we also get leadership that can be accountable to the people. Because you realize that even in our nature today, and we are on several platforms that we share in common, that we have people, whenever something comes up, they start, taking up and taking sides. So that taking sides has never been a good idea for me.
But let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Talking about accountability, how accountable can you be to your people when already maybe you're serving in, maybe you've been given a political office to serve either as someone in charge of bursary, someone in charge of dishing this and that? How then do you achieve accountability?
I think when it comes to issues of community, is what we have already observed.
Okay.
Like in our, constituency, before bursaries, you never know how it was, appropriated. But when personally, when I decided that I should be part of the clergy, looking at how bursary is given, then we realized that bursary can reach even somebody who is Gordon. Yeah. It is not necessarily that a bursary is given to a certain clique of people. And that is where the transparency comes in, that people should not be doing things. And you see, us staying aloof, we give these people an opportunity to do what they want to do. But when you have that chance and get to where it is and see how things are being done, then you are able to speak and say, at least every community within that constituency has had a portion of what is being given.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not about compromise or speaking good about the giver, because this is public money. This is not somebody's money coming from the pocket. In fact, the development which is being done, it is not begging. It is only that somebody is going to, it is like Gordon, having a family, and you are going out there and bringing honey to your children. Yeah, it is you who goes and bring. So it is about the MP or the one who is on the now ruling to go and make sure that these things are being pushed and are being done.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the same question goes back to you, Bishop. What then do you have to say about your critics who say it's high time you separate yourself from doing, because they see you as much into politics, so it's high time you just concentrate on being a bishop and leading your flock to Christ and just leave other things, responsibility, to other people.
No, I have never, given an intention like Nelson Mandela to vie. So I'm not in politics. I'm just a commentator.
But your critics do say you are much into politics.
Yeah, and that is where now you see, you must have critics to live. And also when you are speaking your mind, that is when people don't like. Yeah, when you are saying this and this and this, people don't like. So there is nothing like separation. In theology, we have a course which is which talks about church and state. Relationship. You understand? So I'm a theologian. I teach theology in several Bible seminaries. And so there is the way the church must put the government on toes, and there is a way the government must defend the church or provide security and an environment for the church to thrive. So there is a very thin demarcation. So whenever I rise, and that is why if as a church, for example, or as a clergy, because the church has also not, I have seen people accuse the church of bringing the president in power. It contributed so much, but the church had no enough votes to bring at 7.1 or 2.
But
it had an influence. But again, I saw even clergy at Ufungamano House, where we were also called, you know, to pray for Baba. So which means clergy was not just at one, you know, influence station. So that is a person who is me. Whereby I have pushed and everything that I have done, because I am the clergy chairman within the Dagoretti sub-county, I have always gone back to the clergy and also inform them about what the government and what the constituency and the leadership is doing. Because most of these things, when they are done, the church and the clergy are not aware. You will only see them on news. And that is where I am. Yeah, I don't want to vie on any seat. If it is about, I remember some time back, just to maybe to finish on that, some time back we were seeing, you know, an influx of everybody wanting to become an MCA. And we took all these people together and we said, you are going nowhere, you are going nowhere, you are going nowhere. So why can't you support somebody maybe who is going to face the incumbent and get him out of the power? But you realize there are some of those who come in as a business, you know, so that they sell it on the way. So it is known, and that is where when a clergy person, highest bidder. So when I am there as a clergy, there is a sense of, you know, people not even, you know, accepting and wanting to see how things are going.
All right.
Yeah.
Honorable Nelson.
Yes.
Do you think it's also it's high time we have, so to speak, an opposition wing within, you know, within our constituency and what level? Because I've come to realize that there's a lot that is happening within our ward, and there's a lot that is happening within our constituency that sometimes it remains anonymous to most of the citizens or the residents of a particular ward or a constituency. In Dagoretti South, to be specific.
Me here is an opposition leader in both Dagoretti South constituency and Riruta ward politics.
So what have you pushed?
So
as a
we are
opposition
pushing
leader?
for better leadership and more so good governance. You know, good governance cut across. It supports, it creates opportunity for everyone, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your religion, regardless of your color, race, and whatever. So that's the reason why I'm a crusader of good governance, because it will cater for your rights as well as mine. So the reason I've had Bishop talking about the role of the church, and you know, church is playing a very critical role when it comes to state and church. You know, church is where people go normally when you are depressed. You want to talk to your God. Yeah, they are the people standing in between us and God, mediating on our behalf, the clergy. So again, the problem is that, you know, church has been there, even in the Bible. If you read Prophet Elijah or Elijah overstayed in the bush, actually ran away from the wrath of King Ahab and Jezebel, because he was speaking truth to the power, which they didn't want to listen to. And at the end of the day, the church prevailed, and the word of God remained the way he was talking about, whatever he was saying. So coming to Dagoretti South, the problem we are having, you know, the moment the church becomes, or the clergy start singing worship and praise to the political class, that's where they get it wrong. There should be a voice of reasoning. When everybody is mad, and we are always being told that never make decisions when you are hungry or happy. You be in your best mood.
Okay.
Just be more modest.
All right. On the same breath, Bishop, have you in your own capacity, have you been a voice of reason to in any instances or any circumstances, maybe?
I think personally, I may not, you know, point out much, especially in terms of voice of reason. But if you are a follower of what we do, I have personally condemned what is bad. You know, using what is due to the people to show that you are helping people. You know, and that where it comes when it comes to things development. and the things like the bursaries, whereby we had some time back there. In fact, one of the leaders, whom I don't want to name because these things goes viral, said that I will not give Luyas and Luos and Kisis bursaries in this constituency. You see, that is not somebody's money. That is money for
Taxpayers' money.
taxpayer. And even if you make a road that passes through my house, if I come to vote and I realize that you are not worthy to be voted in, then I will not vote for you because of that road which passed. I will vote for you according to your firm belief of democracy,
Yes.
firm belief of integrity, because most of the problem that we are having even within our constituency is lack of integrity and truthfulness. We have people who are in power that have no core values. They have no values to keep. So there is the voice, the voice of reason. It may not have come out, but I think as we go on, we are going to make it louder, so that we get authentic and good leadership in the constituency.
All right.
Yeah.
The last time, Honorable Mandela, you were in this show, you stated categorically that you have interest in running for an MCA seat.
Exactly,
The
absolutely.
Ruta Ward. So my question is, are you running as a politician or as a leader?
I'm running as a leader, not a politician.
What's the difference?
There's a big difference between leadership and politics, being a politician. A politician is whereby you are just playing a critical role when it comes to a political space. But a leader, you are diverse. You can talk about religious leaders. A leader is somebody who can have a sit down with the religious leaders. You can have a sit down with women groups. You can have a sit down with the Gen Zs. You can have a sit down with schools. You talk about school education. You talk about health. Things that are tangible, things that are touching the life of a commoner, that common mwananchi. But a politician is there to gain power and fame, nothing else. Gain power and fame. I don't want to vie as a politician. I want to vie as a leader. But the moment you say you are a leader, politics also follows you closely.
Now, leadership is about identifying the gaps. What gaps exists that you want to fill as a leader?
Gap number one that I want to fill is that I want to fill a gap to bridge a gap between youths and leaders. There is that gap which is waning very fast. Leaders, they become very feigning. Immediately you get elected, you forget that you were elected by the electorates. Those people, you start running away from them. You change contact, you change number, and you are forgetting that you were elected with a reason. You are not better than the other people who are not elected, but they felt that maybe your policies were better than your opponents. So to me, what I want to say, Gordon, I want to be MCA for Iruta. And being an MCA is just an avenue to access leadership. And it's about connection and networking, which is the network you have is your net worth. So I want to connect more people when I get there. County government, it has so many opportunities. But what are our MCAs doing currently, even to make sure that there's a breach? Youths, we are facing something called unemployment. There's lack of jobs. But leaders, what are they doing? Elected politicians and leaders combined. What are you doing to breach the gap?
All right. Bishop, back to you. 2027 might be a very heated political season, especially in Dagoretti South, looking at how things stands out. What role in your own capacity, maybe as the clergy or a community leader, do you think you're going to play, that pivotal role that you're going to play to ensure that, things don't get out of hand or escalate? We still remain our peace and we still remain as sober people.
Okay, Dagoretti South has not been as hot as Dagoretti North, as North. Because even when you look at the statistics about the clashes, we have, we have been pointed, hotspots
Yes.
within Dagoretti South. And we have seen it is always at Kabiria, you know, that Kabiria Kambi Center, that place.
My word.
Yes, and then here in Ngando, a bit of it. So it has not been that, hot as it were. But as we go to 2027, you know, as Mheshimiwa to come, can I call you Mheshimiwa?
Thank you.
You see, there is a very serious generation called Gen Z. And I have several of them. I'm a man of many children, you know, and Gen Zs are just in my house, several of them. And they have not accepted with me on several issues. They have told me that you have been, pro whatever, you people, you support oppressors. We are ready to die. We don't care. We are jobless. What we own is just a phone. We don't own anything. Yes. So if this Gen Z, because I have seen people talking, playfully about Gen Z. If this Gen Z are going to get their votes, the voters card, then things are not going to be as it were. Because there are so many. There are so many.
If they decide.
And if they become serious and go to the vote, then some people will be voted out very early in the morning. That is where we are today. But coming 2027, personally, I have nobody in mind to front. But at least we need to have, if there is a serious contender who can probably maybe upstage the sitting MP, then let it be. Because as he says, we also need change is as good as rest, and also in politics, people grow. You can never be an MCA forever. You also need to become somebody somewhere. So even my own MP, who is my friend, I would also desire that sometime, probably if the government that he is serving or a government that he may be in, he becomes a PS and a CS to grow, and because he's young, and everybody who is young desires to grow their career. You don't sit. Even myself, I was an usher. I became an elder. I became a deacon. I became an elder. I became a pastor. I became a reverend. I became a bishop.
So it's a growth.
So it is a growth. So there are people I am raising, because now where I am, I may not go, to be a whatever. So what I am saying is that we are just looking forward for a peaceful 2027 transition. And if somebody is defeated, let them agree, so that there shall be peace. If you have been flawed, squarely, and truthfully, let somebody accept.
Okay.
But I am very sure that KJ is on the ballot, as we have seen around us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just as we are getting almost the close of this show, in the last, was it on Wednesday protest, I saw you on the streets.
Yes.
Why were you on the streets? Yet,
Thank you.
What were you
Number one,
protesting about?
before I get there, I want to thank Bishop. You said that you still don't have a candidate to front. Kindly front me. I urge you and beseech you.
So Bishop should
I
start,
beseech Bishop to front me, so that I clinch that seat. Now back to the Wednesday demo. Actually, the reason why I was on the streets, because I'm like any other Kenyans who is feeling that the current regime has failed.
But that was a commemoration of the Gen Z. It was not.
I'm a millennial, but I said, and I'm still stating that I'm a millennial and I have Gen Zs as brothers.
I'm repeating. It was a commemoration. It was not like the way you people put it.
We went to the streets to demand for justice. Last year it was about draconian bill, finance bill. This year we went to demand for justice.
For how long will you be demanding for justice? Because
Until the government gets to listen. We will be on streets. We'll be flooding the streets. Actually, Sabasaba is coming very soon. And you know Sabasaba? It's a remembrance of 1990s.
But Mheshimiwa,
multi-party
Mheshimiwa, as a leader, you ought to be, you ought to be a unifying factor and preaching peace. And if they see you on the street, and you know very well what comes, the results that come out of the streets, as in, does it not put you at a very?
There is a wise saying
precarious
which says, absence of a war isn't a presence of peace. The moment you think that there is absence of war, so peace is being determined or being experienced, no. People are really burning out here. So being a unifying factor, I was exercising my right as a Kenyan and a believer of rule of law, article which is anchored in the Article 3.7. So being on the street, it wasn't that I went there to divide the people. I was uniting with the Gen Zs. They are Kenyans. So if you say I was a unifying factor in that demonstration, actually I was bringing them closer, telling them that we have to demand for our justice. They have reminded us, with the millennial, that we tried but failed in some given point.
Talking about, as a way of a closure, talking about Sabasaba. What's your projection of Sabasaba?
Sabasaba is going to be that there's a huge turnout expected to flood the streets.
I hope it won't be chaotic.
It is government which creates chaos.
How?
Not government. They unleash war. You saw, Godo, you are a media personnel. You saw very well goons walking alongside and being escorted by the police.
But don't you think some of these protests have been overtaken by, or has been overridden by some of the goons that masquerade as protesters?
Let me tell you one thing. Failed states, they started that way. Haiti found themselves in that wrong situation or in that menace because of some decisions our leaders and politicians are making right now. Do you know gangs, leaders, if you see a politician and a leader getting goons to protect him, actually that's where we are going to create anarchy in this country. That's wrong. That's wrong. Failed states, they are being aligned to such characters we are currently.
So in short, what will be your responsibility to ensure that the Sabasaba does not split out to be?
It is the responsibility of the government never to unleash brutality, police brutality, goons on its people.
Okay.
Let the government stay away from it. Actually, the police should also guide the public. Okay. You saw what that police commandant in Meru did. He escorted the people and sent and gave out their papers. I mean petitions. You're asking for just a small thing, and the government is in retaliation, is fighting back, firing at you, killing you. Now we are mourning Boniface Karaoke. Just a face mask seller who was shot at a close range.
We will have a conversation on that another day. Bishop, what's your projection of the upcoming Sabasaba, and what will you say?
I'm not very sure about Sabasaba.
Maybe nane.
Because those are the things which came when we had the energy during those days.
Yes.
But I feel personally, Mheshimiwa Mandela is talking about being on the street, and at the same time he's saying he's ODM, and we know that ODM is part of the broad-based arrangement.
Yes.
And so he is talking against his own arrangement, So he needs also to be clear and honest. Because if that is the talk that continues, he may also be thrown out. ODM, I have supported Baba until I got tired in 2022. Because it seems like Baba never wants power, just to have the party. If you see the trend, any party that has come to
those
power,
are your allegations.
No, any party that comes to power must die. It's historical. I know you are. I know. I don't know whether I overheard you saying you are poor in history, but but as a historian, any party, just look at the party trend. When it comes to power, it
automatically
like
fades
UDA
away.
now. Somebody's talking about UDA. Him said UDA is nowhere. Maybe it will come up as another thing, an amorphous thing, if ODM remains. But I agitate for peaceful Sabasaba or even Gen Z protests. As you have seen, Gen Z protest has been hijacked. I just saw a video yesterday, Boniface Mwangi claiming that he is the leader of GNC and the other lady, I don't know who.
Hanifa.
Yeah, Hanifa. Those are now they have taken. Boniface Mwangi should not be where Gen Z are, unless Gen Z themselves have appointed him. Okay. So I'm for peaceful. There is no need, Gordon and Mheshimiwa, to destroy our nation. We have come from very far. And those things which we have witnessed, as he says, it might not, because the GNC were very, peaceful. They started well. Some of them even rescued the police. There was a police woman.
Gen Zs were on street.
Yes.
They closed the country on Wednesday for innovations.
Yes. So that is it. So to answer your question, I'm just looking forward to see how Sabasaba goes. But personally we are praying for a peaceful Sabasaba. Just to say maybe the last thing is that the church has been on the forefront of calling for a dialogue. And you see many questions which have come to me is that a dialogue to talk about what? You see? To talk about what has not been spoken. You see? So for me, still I support the issue of coming together because it is scriptural in Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 8. Okay. Let us come and reason together. All right. Because it seems like reason has been thrown out of the window. Okay. And so everybody and anybody can do what he wants. Right. And that is where we need not to be as a nation. Okay. Thank you.
Now, as we...
I don't support dialogue. I disagree with my bishop.
Okay, yeah. We'll continue on another day. You'll explain to us why
I don't support
dialogue
I don't
does
support,
not,
because we've overstayed
on dialogue.
On dialogue. We are dialoguing about what? We just need the rule of law to be applied. That's enough for this country to move forward. Yes, the state is failing to accept the rule of law.
Okay.
That's the problem.
All right.
And you see, when we talk about dialogue, we are talking about, we can't leave NADGO out of it. And the things that, ODM party agreed together, nothing is happening. It is like they went in and forgot. So that was part of dialogue. If they accepted then, why are they refusing now?
So I think because of the interest of time, I'll give Honorable Mandela time to give a parting shot through our cameras. Mr. Mandela, just tell us something.
Now, thank you for hosting me, Aditech TV. I really liked being here. And actually, we've talked about pertinent issues concerning our nations and Dagoretti South at large. And I just want to assure people that mazuri yapo. Yakuja. We are going to get those leadership positions, and I'm looking forward to work with everyone because I believe that I'll be elected 2027. I don't believe in any other thing that last time you asked me, but I know I'm going to win that seat and come back with it here again on this show and tell people that this is what we are going to do. This is how I'm going to act and work differently from my predecessors. Right. So I just wish everybody a peaceful evening. And this Taifa, this nation, is for all of us. Gen Z, continue closing the nation until it is well renovated. Thank you.
Is that an incitement or a statement to the Gen Zs? Anyway, we leave it at there. Bishop, do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I have a closing remark. First of all, thank you for hosting me today. I have been looking forward for this. I want just to address two issues. Number one, I want to address those ruling class, that it is a high time for them to listen. It is a high time for the ruling class to listen, because it seems that their ears are still closed. There is a lot of arrogance. There is a lot of bravado. There is a lot of opulence. And there is a lot of incompetence. In fact, incompetency in government is so loud that you can see. They must listen, and the president, our president, please, if it reaches you, listen, and do what is necessary. Number two, I would want to talk to my Gen Z sons and daughters that this is our nation. Continue agitating. But I know you are peaceful people, as my colleague says that, close it down until it is renovated. I don't see that as that is the mind of Gen Z. I think that is the mind of millennials. Gen Z just are saying they want good governance. Let people not come to the public with a shoe that is 1 million. It is not necessary. When people have no food, when our children have come out of universities and colleges and they don't have jobs. And then, just to finish on the same, is that it was not meant that we have export labor. We don't have to take our children to go and learn so that they can be exported. If they want to go to a good country that gives, returns, good returns, let it be so. But it is not, this looks like modern slavery, whereby a howl of young people are taken to Arab nations, and then when they are there, they are responding in a way that they are not getting value for what they went. So that is my urge. And let this nation remain peaceful. Let's not destroy what we have built so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen, for making it this afternoon for this amazing show. And I hope to see you in our next show.
Thank you. We will.
Yeah, that was Siasa Cafe, and our discussion was the role of opposition in strengthening of our democracy. And as we've heard from them, they've helped us demystify the today's theme. I was your host, Gordon Oduor from Aditech TV and Naiwave Studios. Until next time, bye-bye. And in case you want to book interviews with us, the number is down on our screen. You can book an interview, and we'll be happy enough to have you on our bench. Asanteni sana. Until next time.